The ruins stood in silence. On the barren world of Theros 4, storms of ash and lightning tore across the broken surface. The planet had been dead for millions of years. Its oceans were gone, its skies poisoned, its cities buried under mountains of dust. Yet in this wasteland, a group of alien scholars pressed forward. Following the faint signal of energy that had brought them here, Dr. Zelor, an elder of the Sorith species, stood before the entrance of a collapsed temple. His 6 eyes glowed faintly as he scanned the stonework with his scanner. The carvings were unlike anything in the archives, older than the rise of the Galactic Council, older than most known empires. The structure pulsed with a faint blue light, as if something inside was still alive. "This place should not exist," whispered Yaren, a younger scholar. She brushed the dust from the symbols carved on the archway. Her voice shook as she translated. "These words, they speak of a prophecy." The team exchanged nervous glances. Prophecies were not common in galactic records. The ancients spoke in science, not mysticism. Yet here, in stone older than memory, there were warnings carved in languages that should have been lost forever. They pushed deeper inside. The walls of the temple hummed as if it recognized their presence. Long corridors led to a vast chamber, its ceiling domed and glittering with constellations carved in crystal. At the center stood a pedestal cracked but still glowing. Upon it lay tablets of stone, tall and heavy, etched with thousands of symbols. The scholars gathered close. Dr. Zelor activated his translation lens, and the symbols began to rearrange into words. The chamber fell silent. The prophecy spoke of war. Endless wars that tore galaxies apart. Empires rising, empires falling. And then, of something else. Something so feared that entire civilizations united to resist it. One word repeated across the tablets: the terror. But when the scholars reached the part of the prophecy that named this terror, the text changed. The original name had been carved out, erased by hands long ago. In its place, burned deep into the stone with energy still faintly glowing, was one single word written in a language not of the ancients, a word that every scholar could read without translation: humanity. The room grew colder. Dr. Zelor's voice cracked. "Impossible. Humans are primitive, trapped on a small blue planet, barely reaching their own moon. How could a race like that be feared by civilizations that vanished millions of years ago?" The scholars argued. Some claimed it was mistranslation. Others said it was a trick. But the tablet glowed brighter every time someone spoke the word aloud. Humanity. The light pulsed like a heartbeat. The discovery could not be hidden. Within days, reports reached the Galactic Council. Representatives of 100 species filled the Grand Chamber, their voices rising in panic and denial. High Chancellor Taravon slammed his claw against the speaking stone. "Order! We will have order!" But order was impossible. The tablets had shaken them all. Ambassador Kale from the Tazar Dominion hissed, "Humans! They are nothing! They are still bound to their primitive world. The prophecy is madness." From the opposite side, Elder Rill of the Veyari leaned forward, her tone sharp. "And yet the ancients erased every name but theirs. Why? Why did civilizations greater than ours choose to warn only of humans? What did they know that we do not?" The chamber erupted again. Some shouted for war preparations. Others demanded silence, arguing that the humans were no threat. Dr. Zelor was summoned to speak. His voice trembled as he explained what he had seen. The tablets respond to the word. It is not deadstone. It reacts, as if it waits. Waits for what? Someone demanded. He did not answer. He could not. Across the stars, whispers began. Traders carried the story in secret. Smugglers swore they had seen strange signals near human space. Some claimed the humans were not primitive at all, but hiding something. Worlds far from Earth began strengthening defenses. Fleets shifted positions. The name of humanity became poison, spoken in fear, not curiosity. On a mining station orbiting Draxus Prime, a worker overheard the tale and laughed. Humans? The ones who still argue over dirt and water? Let them come. But his laughter faded when the lights flickered and the comms carried a strange echo, a single word repeating in the static: humanity. The scholars returned to the ruined temple, desperate for answers. They believed there were more tablets hidden beneath the stone. Days of excavation revealed a sealed chamber below. The doors opened with a sound like thunder. Inside lay another tablet, this one larger, cracked but still burning faintly with blue fire. The symbols on it were clearer than before. Dr. Zelor read aloud: "When the stars grow silent, when empires grow fat, when corruption fills the skies, the terror shall return. All shall fall before them. Fear not the beasts of the void, nor the machines of war, nor the tyrants of empires. Fear only humanity." The chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The scholars staggered back as the tablet's glow surged. Yaren whispered, "It is alive." The others stared at her in horror. Stone should not live. Yet the tablet pulsed, the light beating like a heart. Dr. Zelor raised a trembling hand toward it. "What are you trying to tell us?" The light grew brighter. The symbols shifted, rewriting themselves before their eyes. New words appeared, fresh and sharp. "They are coming." Back in the galactic chamber, panic consumed the council. Fleets demanded answers. Colonies whispered rebellion. Old enemies accused one another of summoning the humans as weapons. High Chancellor Terevon stood before them, his voice heavy. "We face a choice. Dismiss this as myth, or prepare for the return of a species the ancients feared above all else." "Return," shouted a delegate. "You speak as if they are already here." Dr. Zelor's voice was hollow when he answered. "The prophecy does not say they will rise. It says they will return. That means they were once here." The chamber froze. The idea spread like fire. Humans had walked the stars before. They had vanished, and now they might be coming back. Far away in the darkness beyond charted space, something stirred. Sensors on abandoned outposts flickered to life. A derelict station, thought dead for 10,000 years, sent a signal in a human dialect. Back in the ruined temple, the tablet pulsed again. The word humanity burned brighter than ever, filling the chamber with blinding light. And when the scholars spoke the word aloud, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The whispers began slowly, almost like dust drifting through the cracks of an old fortress. At first, only smugglers and wanderers spoke of it, voices lowered over mugs of bitter drink in dimly lit spaceports. A transmission here, a flicker of static there, strange signals that no one could trace. Some claimed they saw the outline of a ship moving silently across the void, a shape older than any they had ever seen. Others swore they caught glimpses of strange figures walking aboard forgotten vessels. Always, when the story ended, one word lingered on their lips: humanity. The Council of Races tried to contain it. Decrees were issued. Rumors declared false. Records were erased. But the more they denied, the louder the whispers grew. And with each retelling, the stories twisted darker, more fearful. On the mining colony of Veros Station, a group of laborers argued over the tale. A Veyari miner scoffed, his long arms resting against the wall. "Humans? They barely crawl on their homeworld. They are myths to frighten children." But a Draxian technician shook his head, his voice tense. "I heard from a freighter captain who swore on his life. He saw a human. Not in stories, not in books. In the flesh. On an abandoned warship drifting at the edge of the Hellar Rift." The Veyari laughed. But then the station lights flickered, dimmed, and the comms channel came alive with static. A voice echoed, garbled but unmistakable. Only one word cut through clearly, repeated again and again: humanity. The workers froze. No one spoke. The lights returned, but no one laughed again. Across the galaxy, similar tales spread. A patrol near the empty star system of Arcot 9 reported finding wreckage of unknown design. The metals tested older than any empire, yet the hulls bore markings in a language eerily similar to human tongues. The patrol ships vanished 3 days later. Their last broadcast, a burst of static carrying a faint voice that whispered humanity. The High Chancellor grew restless as the council chamber erupted with accusation after accusation. "We are being poisoned with fear. shouted the representative of the Sorith clans. "The humans are nothing. They are not even spacefaring." But Elder Rill of the Veyari countered, her voice sharp with unease. "If they are nothing, then why do ruins older than our empires warn of them? Why do our fleets find wreckage tied to their name? Why does the very static of our machines repeat that word?" Dr. Zelor was summoned again. He stood before them pale and tired, his eyes sunken from long nights of study. He carried with him fragments of data gathered from temples, ruins, and derelicts. "It is not coincidence," he said softly. "The prophecy awakens. The tablets glow brighter when their name is spoken. Now even our machines echo that word. The galaxy itself seems to carry it." The chamber fell into uneasy silence. Some wanted to dismiss it. Others whispered of war. But the unease could not be erased. Fear had already taken root. Far from the Council's world, in the shadow of an old asteroid belt, smugglers stumbled upon a derelict cruiser. Its design matched no known species. The hull bore scars of wars fought ages ago. Inside, the ship's systems were dead, but one chamber still glowed faintly. And inside that chamber, frozen in a stasis pod, lay a figure none of them had ever seen before. Its form was smaller, weaker compared to most galactic races, but its features matched ancient descriptions found only in myth. It was human. When the smugglers opened the pod, the figure stirred. Its eyes snapped open, and though it seemed fragile, the weight of its gaze made them step back in fear. The human rose slowly, coughing, weak from endless sleep, yet his voice was steady when he spoke. "You are too late," he said. "They are already coming." The smugglers tried to question him, but before they could, the ship's dead systems flared to life. Screens blinked with human code, symbols no one should have been able to read. A transmission burst from the derelict, echoing through subspace, reaching farther than any signal should have gone. In the Galactic Council's chamber, technicians scrambled as their systems were flooded with strange data. Hidden beneath the noise was one message, repeating again and again. A warning written in the language of humans. "We are awake." Fear became chaos. Fleets mobilized. Borders tightened. Colonies fortified themselves, but none knew against what. On a distant world, a young archivist leaked fragments of the prophecy to the public, believing the truth should not be hidden. The leak spread faster than the Council could stop it. Soon, entire systems were debating whether the humans were myth or doom. Protests erupted, some demanding peace, others crying for preemptive strikes on Earth before it was too late. The humans themselves, still bound to their homeworld, had no idea that the galaxy trembled at the mere mention of their name. But above their skies, in the black silence of space, signals pulsed, signals they could not yet see, but signals that carried their name across the stars. On Theros 4, the temple glowed brighter than before. The tablet that had once whispered now shone like fire. When scholars gathered again, the stone shifted, symbols rewriting themselves before their eyes. This time there were no riddles. The message was clear. They walk again. The scholars fled in terror, their reports racing back to the Council, but already the whispers had spread too far. Fleets were moving in secret. Old enemies joined hands, not in peace, but in fear. Everywhere, the same question haunted them all. What did the ancients see in humanity that made them carve warnings in stone and erase every other name but theirs? And if the humans were truly returning, what did that mean for the galaxy that had forgotten them? In the far edge of uncharted space, a sensor buoy, long thought dead, flickered awake. Its faded lens captured the silhouette of a massive vessel emerging from the darkness, silent, deliberate, unstoppable. Its design was alien to every record, but its signal carried only one word: humanity. The whispers were no longer whispers. They had become a roar, and the galaxy held its breath. The patrol fleet entered the dead system slowly, their ships gliding like shadows between shattered moons. The stars here gave little light. The system had no life, no trade, no reason to exist. And yet transmissions had been traced to this place. Strange human-coded signals had spilled out of the void. pulling the fleet into a silence that pressed against every hull. Commander Vaylin sat in his chair aboard the flagship Resolute Dawn. His scaled hands tapped the armrest as he studied the data streaming across the screens. The signals were real, pulsing like a heartbeat from somewhere deeper in the system. "Are we certain this is the source?" he asked. The technician's voice was tight. "Yes, Commander. No mistake. The signal originates from a derelict. Coordinates uploaded now." The fleet moved in. They found the ship drifting beyond the reach of the system's weak star. It was massive, ancient, built in a style none recognized. Its hull was scarred, blackened by battles fought before their empires had even risen. Yet the vessel was intact, as if waiting. "Scan it," Vaylin ordered. The report chilled the bridge crew. "Materials unknown. Energy core dormant. No life signs." "Wait," the officer paused. "Correction. One faint life form detected. Very faint. Located near the central chamber." The commander's tail flicked uneasily. "One? On a ship that size?" The fleet's smaller crafts moved closer. They clamped onto the derelict's surface, cutting through ancient metal. The boarding team advanced inside. The corridors were dark, but not dead. Strange symbols lined the walls, glowing faintly at their approach. Dust hung heavy, yet the air was breathable. "Report," Vaylin demanded. The voice of the squad leader came through static. "No resistance, no traps. The ship feels empty. Like a tomb." They pushed deeper until they reached the central chamber. There, bathed in pale light from a cracked ceiling, they found the source of the life sign. A figure stood motionless, frozen within a stasis field, humanoid, fragile compared to most races, smaller than the soldiers who surrounded it. Its skin was pale, its chest rising and falling faintly with shallow breaths. It was human. The squad leader's voice broke the silence. "Commander." The legends were true. Gasps filled the bridge. Even Vaylin felt his throat tighten. He had read the reports, heard the whispers, seen the fear in the council chamber. But to see it alive, it was different. "Deactivate the field," he ordered. The stasis chamber dissolved with a low hum. The human's eyes opened. They were dark, sharp, and though its body was weak, there was no fear in them. Slowly it stepped forward, coughing, then speaking in a voice that carried across the comms with perfect clarity. "You should not have come." The soldiers froze. Their weapons stayed raised, but none fired. The human studied them, tilting its head as though it recognized the shape of their armor, their insignias, their fear. Commander Vaylin's voice cracked. "Identify yourself." "Who are you?" The human's lips curled into a faint smile. "Names are for the living. I'm the last echo of what you feared. I am the reminder the ancients left for you." Vaylin's scales prickled. "The prophecy. It speaks of your kind." The human's gaze hardened. "Then you already know. You know why we were erased from history. Why our name burns in stone. We are not your enemy, unless you make us one. But you are already too late." The commander leaned forward. "Too late for what?" The human looked past him, as if listening to something no one else could hear. "They are already coming." Before anyone could react, the derelict ship's systems flared to life. Screens that had been dead for millions of years glowed with human code. Power surged through the vessel. The patrol fleet scrambled, alarms echoing as energy readings spiked. "Pull the teams out." Vaylin shouted. The boarding squad tried to retreat, but the corridors shifted, doors sealing, lights guiding them back to the chamber. The human remained still, untouched by the chaos. "This ship was never a tomb," it said calmly. "It was a beacon." On the Resolute Dawn, technicians panicked as transmissions erupted from the derelict, racing across subspace faster than they could trace. The same message repeated in every tongue, flooding comms across the sector. "We are awake." The words filled every ship, every console, every mind. Some crew members covered their ears, as if the message came not from the speakers, but from inside their skulls. The derelict ship shifted. Slowly, impossibly, it turned its massive bulk toward the patrol fleet. "Shields up," Vaylin roared. "Prepare weapons." But the derelict did not fire. It only moved forward, steady and unstoppable. Every weapon strike from the fleet fizzled harmlessly against its hull, absorbed or ignored. It was as if the ship did not even notice them. In the chamber, the human closed its eyes. "We warned you." The galaxy grew fat, corrupt, blind. "And so judgment comes." The squad leader raised his weapon, trembling. "What are you?" The human opened its eyes again, and in them was no weakness, no fear, only certainty. The chamber walls blazed with light, forcing the squad to shield their eyes. When they looked again, the human was gone. Only the echo of its voice remained, carried through the static of their comms. "They are coming!" The derelict jumped into faster than light, vanishing into the black. The patrol fleet was left adrift, their systems fried by the energy surge, their crews shaken beyond words. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the emergency session was filled with chaos. Reports poured in from the patrol fleet. Witnesses swore they had seen a human alive, speaking in their tongue, warning of what was to come. Others dismissed it as hysteria, tricks of failing systems. But then the transmissions reached them. Every corner of the galaxy now heard the message that had erupted from the derelict ship. "We are awake." The words spread faster than fire, carried by traders, pirates, and frightened civilians. No council decree could erase them now. The prophecy had stepped out of legend and into reality. Humanity was no longer a whisper. It was a presence, and somewhere beyond the stars, more signals stirred. Derelicts waking. Systems coming online. A pattern forming that no one yet understood. The galaxy trembled, caught between disbelief and dread, as the prophecy's next line seemed to write itself in every fearful mind. If one human had awakened, how many more waited in the dark? The Galactic Council chamber had never been so loud. Hundreds of voices clashed, echoing across the massive dome. Representatives from every star-faring race shouted, argued, and accused, their words blurring into a storm of fear. The words "we are awake" still hung over them like a shadow. The transmission had reached every system, every station, every backwater planet. No race could deny it now. Humanity was real. The prophecy was alive. High Chancellor Drevar struck the council gong, its deep tones silencing the uproar for only a moment. His voice carried across the chamber. "We must face this with reason." The patrol fleet brought us proof. An ancient vessel, a living human. A signal spread across the stars. But panic will not save us. From the northern tier, the insectoid ambassador clicked angrily. "Reason, do you not hear the threat? The prophecy warned us. If humanity rises, our empires will fall. We must act before they spread further." A chorus of agreement rose from several delegations. On the southern platform, a scholar from the archivist race raised her long fingers. "No, you misread it. The prophecy never spoke of destruction for its own sake. It spoke of judgment. What if humanity is not our enemy, but a mirror? What if they rise only to reveal what we have become?" Her words stirred unease. Few wanted to hear them. The debate raged until the chamber doors thundered open. A group of scholars rushed in, their robes scorched, their faces pale. At once the chamber quieted. The lead scholar bowed, his voice trembling. "High Chancellor, the tablets, they are changing." A silence, deeper than before, fell. The council adjourned, following the scholars into the vaults beneath the chamber. There, guarded by soldiers and sealed in stasis fields, rested the alien stone tablets first uncovered in the ruined temple. But now, something was different. The symbols that once glowed faintly now burned like fire. The erased word, the one that had been replaced with humanity, flared brighter than all others, casting shadows across the vault. Gasps rippled through the room. Some counselors fell back in fear. Others stepped closer, unable to resist the pull. Then the symbols began to move. The carvings twisted, reshaping themselves as though alive. New lines formed, spreading across the surface. Words appeared, written in every tongue of the known galaxy at once. The prophecy was rewriting itself. Scholars scrambled to record it, their voices overlapping as they read the lines aloud. "The first will awaken the rest. The beacon is lit, the sleepers stir where shadows fall. The chains of silence will break. Humanity will rise." The council chamber erupted again. Terror washed through the delegations. "The first will awaken the rest," shouted one warlord. "That means there are more. If one ship has awakened, then there must be fleets, armies, weapons waiting in the dark." "No," the archivist scholar whispered, her eyes wide. "It does not speak only of ships. It speaks of them. More humans?" The insectoid ambassador's mandibles clicked furiously. "Then we must act now. Hunt down every trace of them. Burn their relics. Seal their tombs." But the words were drowned out as the tablets pulsed brighter. This time, the symbols did not merely write. They projected a map formed in the air, stretching across the vault. Star systems glimmered like fireflies, whole sectors illuminated. Some were familiar, others were uncharted. At the center of the glowing web was the same dead system where the patrol fleet had found the derelict. From it, red lines spread outward like veins, touching the marked systems one by one. The prophecy had revealed its path. The council froze, staring at the map. 1,000 thoughts filled the silence, but only fear united them. Wherever those lines led, humanity would awaken again. High Chancellor Drevar's voice trembled. "This is no longer a legend. It is a plan, and it has already begun." The vault's walls shook as if in agreement. The tablets pulsed once more, their glow so bright the councillors had to shield their eyes. Then the symbols dimmed, fading back into silence. But the fear they left behind only grew stronger. News of the changing prophecy spread faster than the council could contain it. Every system heard the whispers. Smugglers carried copies of the glowing map. Pirates swore they had seen human ships moving in the dark. Entire colonies panicked, fearing invasion. On frontier worlds, people began to pray to humanity as gods of old. On others, mobs burned effigies of them, demanding war. The galaxy was unraveling. Meanwhile, far from the council, deep in the uncharted reaches, something stirred. In the void of a broken nebula, a second derelict ship awoke. Its hull was cracked, its engines dead, but its core pulsed with life once more. Inside, stasis pods flickered. One by one, their glass covers hissed open. Figures emerged, thin, pale human. Their eyes opened not in confusion, but in readiness, as though they had only slept a single night. Across the stars, another system lit up, answering the prophecy's map. Back in the council chamber, Chancellor Drevar's advisors pressed him for action. "We must rally fleets to those systems. We must strike before they grow stronger." "We must." Drevar raised his hand, silencing them. His face was drawn, his voice heavy. "What if we cannot stop them? What if the ancients could not stop them, and that is why they erased them from history? What chance do we have?" His words left the chamber in stunned silence. No one answered, because deep inside they all knew the truth. The prophecy was not a warning to prepare. It was a warning of inevitability, and as another derelict awoke, the words carved into the stone echoed in every fearful mind. "The first will awaken the rest." The galaxy was only beginning to understand what that truly meant. The galaxy was holding its breath. Across trade routes, border stations, and even in the hidden corners of lawless space, one name was spoken in fear and awe: humanity. The prophecy had already rewritten itself. The map it revealed was spreading like wildfire, copied onto data crystals, etched into starship walls, whispered from smugglers to warlords. Everyone knew the truth now. Humanity had not been a myth. They had existed. They had slept. And now they were awakening. But what no one understood was why they had vanished in the first place. On a forgotten archive world, orbiting a dim star, a team of researchers sifted through vaults older than most civilizations. Their leader, archivist Solari, stood before a cracked terminal, its screen flickering faintly. Dust clung to her robes, but her eyes burned with determination. "We have always looked at the prophecy as a warning," she whispered to her students. "But what if it was not just a warning? What if it was a record?" Her trembling fingers activated the console. Ancient text scrolled across the display, written in a code long abandoned. It was difficult to translate, but piece by piece, the truth emerged. Long before the rise of the modern galactic races, long before the Council united the stars, there had been another power. Humanity had walked the stars freely. Their fleets were unmatched, their colonies countless. They did not conquer, they observed. They studied. They built weapons so powerful that even the bravest civilizations refused to speak of them aloud. And then, suddenly, they were gone. Solari's eyes widened as the final entries revealed fragments of the truth. The humans had not fallen in battle. They had not been defeated. They had chosen to leave. A ripple of unease passed through the room. The records spoke of a decision. The humans had seen something coming. A cycle. A corruption in the fabric of the galaxy itself. Instead of fighting it, they locked away their warships, sealed their weapons, and disappeared into shadow. Some said they went beyond the galaxy's edge. Others believed they placed themselves into stasis, waiting for the right moment to return. The last line was clear: we will not rise until the galaxy has forgotten. And corruption has bloomed again. Solari's breath caught in her throat. They weren't destroyed. They were waiting for this very moment. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, panic deepened. The discovery of the second awakened ship had shattered any hope that humanity's return could be contained. Fleets had been dispatched to intercept, but none had returned with victory. One admiral spoke grimly. We fired everything. Plasma, antimatter, gravity torpedoes. The ship did not fire back. It did not need to. Our weapons dissolved against its hull like dust in the wind. The chamber grew cold at his words. It was not only the technology that terrified them, it was the silence. The human ships did not answer hails. They did not threaten. They did not boast. They simply moved, as if following a path no one else could see. On a frontier colony, fear took a darker shape. A child had been born with strange eyes, deep grey, unlike the bright colors of her people. When she spoke, she said words no one had taught her, words in a dead human tongue. Priests declared it an omen, proof the humans were not just returning from stasis, but planting seeds within other races. Entire villages began to burn their temples, terrified of what was coming. In the lawless sectors, pirates and warlords plotted how to turn the chaos to their advantage. They dreamed of capturing a human ship, imagining the power they could wield. But every attempt ended the same way. Broken fleets drifting silent in the void. Whispers spread faster than the Council could silence. They were here before us. They vanished because they chose to. They are coming back for judgment. In secret, the Council called upon Archivist Solari. She stood before them, clutching her ancient records. Her voice was steady, but her words shook the chamber. You do not understand the prophecy. You think it speaks of destruction, but it speaks of balance. Humanity was the hand that trimmed the garden. They rose when the galaxy grew corrupt, when empires strangled their own people, when power became abuse. And when their work was done, they left. They have not returned to conquer you. They have returned because the cycle demands it. The insectoid ambassador hissed. And what do they judge now? Us, our council. Our empires? Solari's gaze swept across the chamber. Do you not already know? Silence fell. Each leader thought of their armies, their wealth, their broken promises to their people. And in their silence, the truth weighed heavily. Meanwhile, in the uncharted reaches, the second awakened human ship moved closer to inhabited space. Its hull was scarred, but its core pulsed like a heart. Within, the humans who had awakened from their pods began to prepare. They were not confused. They did not ask where they were. They moved with purpose, as though they had only been waiting for the signal. One of them, a tall figure with silver eyes, stood at the command dais. He touched a console that no alien could understand. The ship hummed in response. In a voice like thunder, he spoke words meant for no one and everyone at once. The cycle turns. The judgment begins. Across the galaxy, beacons flickered to life in forgotten systems. Some were old relay stations. Others were massive constructs hidden within asteroid fields. Each one carried the same signal, spreading like fire through dry grass. The galaxy had not seen humanity in millennia. Now their shadow touched every world. Back in the council, dread turned to desperation. Some argued for negotiation, others demanded war. But deep down, every leader knew the same truth. No alliance, no fleet, no weapon could stand against what was awakening. Solari's final words echoed in their minds. The prophecy was never about if they would return. It was about when, and that when is now. Far above them, in the darkness between stars, the human warships stirred. Their lights burned like eyes opening after a long sleep. And for the first time, the galaxy began to understand why the ancients had feared nothing in the galaxy. Except humanity. The galaxy was no longer whispering, it was shouting. Every channel, every broadcast, every marketplace echoed with the same word: humanity. Traders spread rumors across the stars. Smugglers told stories that grew darker with every retelling. And frightened citizens looked to the sky as if expecting human warships to appear above their homes at any moment. And in some systems, they already had. The second awakened human vessel was no longer hiding. It moved with cold purpose through the border regions of 3 empires, its massive hull gleaming with a light no one could replicate. Fleets tried to intercept, but none survived. It never fired first. It never explained itself, but when ships blocked its path, it erased them with blasts so quick and silent the survivors barely had time to scream. The alien admirals reported the same thing again and again. Our weapons are useless. Their defenses are absolute. We cannot stop them. The council gathered in panic. Their chamber shook with voices rising in desperation. One general slammed his fist against the table. We must combine our fleets. 1,000 warships, 10,000. They cannot withstand such numbers, another replied bitterly. You fool! They don't even see us as a threat. We are insects to them. Crush 10,000 insects or one, it makes no difference. Archivist Solari stood in the shadows, her voice quiet but clear. The prophecy warned you. It said none may stand in their path, and still you try to stand. Her words were drowned by fear, but they sank into the minds of those who listened. Outside the chambers, the galaxy prepared for war. Dockyards rang with the sound of weapons being forged. Armies mobilized, fleets gathered at choke points, defense grids lit up like suns. The great powers of the galaxy believed that sheer strength could still hold back what was coming, but strength without hope is nothing. On a cold mining colony, far from the core worlds, the people woke one night to see a star move across their sky. Except it was no star. It was a human warship. The vessel did not fire. It did not land. It simply hovered above the colony, silent, watching. For 3 days it stayed, its shadow covering the settlements. Children cried, elders prayed. Soldiers fired missiles that vanished against the ship's shimmering hull. And then, as quietly as it had arrived, it left. In its wake, the colony found its governor gone, erased without a trace. He had been known for cruelty, enslaving miners and starving families for profit. His name was wiped from every record. The people were left untouched. Word spread quickly. Humanity was not striking randomly. They were choosing targets, leaders, tyrants, the powerful who had ruled with fear. The message became clear. The judgment had begun. Still, the council clung to hope of control. They formed a grand armada, the largest fleet assembled in history. Thousands of ships from a dozen races converged on a barren star system, waiting to intercept the human vessel charted by the prophecies map. They waited in silence, every captain on edge, their weapons charged, their shields humming. The human ship arrived. It emerged from the void like a shadow turning solid. The armada opened fire instantly, beams, missiles, antimatter shells. The stars themselves seemed to blaze with the fury of their assault. When the light faded, the human ship was still there, untouched. Then it fired once. A single beam of light cut through the void, and an entire wing of battleships was gone. No wreckage, no flames. Just gone. Panic tore through the fleet. Admirals screamed for order, but their commands were drowned by fear. Ships scattered, some fighting, some fleeing. The human vessel moved forward, slow and steady, unstoppable. The armada shattered. Those who escaped carried the story back, their voices shaking as they spoke of the storm they had faced. They don't fight as we do. They don't need to. They choose when to strike, and every strike is perfect. We were nothing to them. Nothing. The council chamber fell silent as survivors told their tale. High Chancellor Drevar's face was pale. If even our united fleet cannot stand, then what hope do we have? No one answered. Far from the council's despair, humanity's shadow deepened. More ships awakened. From broken moons, from hollow planets, from derelicts hidden inside nebulae, they rose one by one, each older and more terrible than the last. And with every awakening, another verse of the prophecy revealed itself on the glowing tablets. The sleepers rise where empires rot. The storm gathers when the strong prey on the weak. The hand of judgment falls when mercy dies. Solari read the verses aloud, her voice shaking. They are not here to destroy the galaxy. They are here to judge it, to cleanse it, the insectoid ambassador hissed in fury. And who are they to decide? Who gave humanity the right to judge us all? Solari looked at him with sorrow. Perhaps the ancients, perhaps the stars themselves. Or perhaps they gave it to themselves because no one else dared to hold power accountable. The words spread through the chamber like fire. Some leaders wept, others seethed. All knew the truth. The gathering storm was not only ships. It was fear, it was guilt. It was the weight of every crime committed in the name of empire. Across the galaxy, rulers tightened their grip, terrified they would be next. Some slaughtered their own citizens to silence rebellion. Others begged humanity for mercy, sending desperate signals into the void. None were answered. On the edge of known space, deep within a dead system, the largest of the human warships stirred. Its hull stretched for kilometers, dwarfing anything the galaxy had ever built. When its engines flared, stars seemed to bend around it. Inside, thousands of humans awoke from stasis, their eyes opening in unison. They did not speak of conquest. They did not speak of peace. They spoke only of the storm. And as the great vessel turned toward the heart of the galaxy, the Council realized the truth at last. The storm could not be stopped. It could only be survived. The galaxy trembled. The storm was no longer gathering. It had arrived. One by one, human warships emerged from the shadows of forgotten systems. They came from shattered moons, hollow asteroids, and ruins buried under dead suns. Some were colossal, stretching longer than cities, their hulls glowing faintly as though carved from starlight itself. Others were smaller, sharp and fast, their movements precise, like hunters closing on prey. Wherever they appeared, silence followed. At first, worlds prepared for annihilation. Cities sealed their shields, armies readied their weapons, and fleets circled their skies. But the humans did not strike blindly. They did not burn whole planets or slaughter entire populations. They chose their targets. On one capital world, a dictator who had ruled for 2 centuries woke to find his palace surrounded by a storm of human ships. They hovered above the city, silent, watching. The dictator unleashed his armies, but within moments every weapon system failed. His soldiers collapsed in terror as their tanks and cannons simply powered down. Then the dictator was gone. No explosion, no trace of struggle. One moment he was there, the next he wasn't. His people poured into the streets, stunned. The humans did not harm them. They simply vanished into the void, leaving only freedom in their wake. News spread like lightning. On another world, where enslaved miners had been forced to dig until death, the ground trembled. Human warships appeared above the mountains. The overseers screamed, ordering their guards to fire. But before a single shot was fired, the overseers were gone, vanished. The mines fell silent. And then, for the first time in generations, the slaves looked up and saw stars unguarded. It became a pattern. Everywhere the warships moved, the same thing happened. Rulers, generals, governors, those known for cruelty and corruption, were erased. Their armies were left untouched. Their people were left alive. Humanity was not here to conquer. They were here to judge. Inside the council chamber, fear had turned into dread. The leaders gathered, their voices weak. "They are not killing us all," whispered one ambassador. "Only the worst of us. The corrupt, the cruel," another hissed, his voice sharp. "And what of the rest? What of those of us who are not perfect? Who decides where judgment ends?" High Chancellor Drevar stared at the floor, his face pale. "They do. Humanity decides. And we cannot stop them," silence followed. No one dared argue. Archivist Solari stepped forward, clutching her records. The ancients called them the hand of balance. When corruption spread, they rose. When justice failed, they returned. "This is not conquest. This is correction," the insectoid ambassador snarled. "Correction? They erase rulers, topple empires, shatter our order. That is not correction. It is chaos." Solari's eyes burned. Perhaps the galaxy was already chaos. Perhaps that is why they came back. Before the council could reply, the chamber shook. The lights dimmed. An image filled the air, projected by no known device. It was a human, tall, with eyes like burning silver, dressed in armor that glowed faintly with energy. His voice rolled across the chamber, deep and commanding. "Children of the stars," he said, "we are humanity. We walked these skies long before your empires rose. We watched, we waited, and when the cycle turned, we slept. Now the cycle has begun again." The leaders sat frozen, unable to speak. "We are not here to conquer you," the human continued. "We are not here to destroy you. We are here to judge. Those who have ruled with cruelty, those who have bled their people dry, those who have enslaved and silenced, they will face us. And none may hide." The image flickered, shifting to show stars and worlds. Each one glowed with a mark of judgment. "Your empires will not fall because of us," the human said. "They will fall because of what they became." And then the image vanished. The chamber erupted in chaos, but the Chancellor barely heard it. His heart pounded with terror because he knew his own world would be marked. His own rule had been cruel, his wealth built on the suffering of others. And if the humans came, he too would vanish. Outside the chamber, the galaxy burned, not with fire, but with change. On hundreds of worlds, rulers disappeared. Armies dissolved. Citizens woke to find themselves free. Some celebrated, falling to their knees, praising the humans as saviors. Others rioted, lost without the chains that had guided them for generations. The balance of power cracked. Empires trembled. In the void, the largest of the human warships advanced. Its engines roared like thunder, its lights blazing like a false sun. From its command dais, the silver-eyed human watched the galaxy's chaos unfold. He spoke softly, his voice carrying through the ship. "The storm is upon them. Soon the heart will be judged." And the ship turned toward the core of the galaxy, toward the council itself. Fear swept through the council worlds. Citizens begged their rulers to surrender, to seek mercy. Some leaders fled, abandoning their thrones, hoping to hide in the farthest corners of the stars. But the prophecies' words burned in every mind. None may stand in their path. On the edge of known space, another prophecy tablet awoke. Its surface blazed with new lines, sharper, clearer than before. Judgment comes not to destroy, but to reveal. The strong shall fall, the weak shall rise. And when the storm ends, the galaxy will not be the same. The scholars who read it wept. The council that heard it quaked. And the humans who stirred across their warships spoke only one word. Now the galaxy held its breath. The humans had spoken. Judgment had begun. Across thousands of worlds, the same whispers echoed, "Who will be next?" Empires trembled, rulers vanished, and fear spread like a shadow no fleet could repel. Yet even in their terror, some dared to hope. For where the humans passed, chains were broken, minds were emptied, and people once crushed under tyrants tasted freedom for the first time. But all hope and dread now turned toward one place, the heart of power. The council itself. In the great council chamber, leaders of the galaxy gathered. Some wept, some shouted. Some demanded war, though their fleets had already fallen silent before the human storm. High Chancellor Drevar stood at the center, his hands trembling. His voice cracked as he tried to command order. We must show unity. They cannot erase us all. We are the law of the stars. But no one believed him, not even himself. Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered. The walls shook. From outside, a great shadow fell across the council tower. All eyes turned toward the windows. It was there, the human warship. It dwarfed the city below, a giant of black steel and glowing light, its hull etched with shifting runes no one could decipher. It hung in silence, blotting out the sun. Its mere presence pressed down on every soul, as though the stars themselves bowed before it. Then, without sound, without fire, it began to descend. The ground trembled. Oceans roared. The great spires of the council capital bent under invisible pressure. And then, inside the chamber, a voice filled the air. It was not broadcast. It was not carried on waves. It spoke inside their minds. Council of the Galaxy. Your time is ended. Panic exploded. Some ambassadors screamed. Others fell to their knees. Driver's heart froze as the air shimmered before him. From nothing, a figure appeared. A human, tall, armored, eyes burning silver, as if holding the light of collapsed stars. His presence silenced the chamber instantly. You were warned, the human said. The ancients left their prophecy carved in stone and fire, yet you dismissed it. You ruled in greed. You silenced voices. You enslaved. You killed. No one dared speak. Drevar forced words from his throat. We are not all guilty. Many here, many worlds have done no harm. You cannot destroy us all. The human's gaze turned on him, and Drevar felt as though his soul had been opened like a book. Every lie, every cruelty, every secret decision to bleed his people dry, all of it burned in that gaze. I need not destroy all, the human said. Only those who poisoned the galaxy. And Drevar was gone. No flash, no scream. Simply gone. His chair sat empty. The chamber shook with gasps and cries. The ambassadors looked around in terror, each wondering if they too would vanish. But the human did not move. He simply raised his hand, and images filled the air. Worlds, fleets, leaders, each one marked. Judgment is finished, the human said. The corrupt are gone. The chains are broken. The stars are free. Silence. Slowly, some realized what his words meant. It was over. They would not all be destroyed. The humans had chosen. They had not burned the galaxy to ash. They had cut away only the rot, but relief did not bring peace. For with the rulers gone, empires had no order. Armies had no masters. Entire civilizations now stood leaderless, directionless, trembling before a future they could not imagine. One ambassador found the courage to speak. If you are done, then what becomes of us? The human's eyes softened, though his voice still thundered. What becomes of you is yours to decide. We will not rule you. We will not stay. The galaxy must learn to walk without the whip of tyrants, another voice cried out. And if we fall into chaos? The human's gaze turned sharp again. Then chaos is the price of freedom. Order built on chains is no order at all. His words echoed like thunder through the chamber. And then, as suddenly as he had appeared, he was gone. The chamber sat in silence. No one dared move. Outside, the warship lifted. Its engines roared like the birth of suns, and then, one by one, more human ships appeared across the sky. Hundreds, thousands, a fleet that no historian had ever dreamed still existed. They gathered, forming patterns like constellations in motion. Their lights blazed, casting the council world in silver radiance. Then, without a word, without a shot, they turned and they left, vanishing into the black, slipping between stars like shadows. Within hours, the skies were empty again. The galaxy reeled. On freed worlds, people celebrated. Slaves sang under open skies. Citizens toppled statues of fallen rulers. The weak and the poor for once walked unafraid, but not everywhere was joy. Some worlds burned with chaos, old rivalries rising, warlords grasping for crowns. Some asked if humanity would return again to strike them down. Others whispered that the humans had not left at all, that they were still watching, hidden in the void, waiting. The scholars returned to the ancient prophecy tablets, desperate for answers. And there, glowing faintly with new lines, they found what they feared most. Judgment is not the end. It is the beginning. Archivist Solari, her hands trembling, read the words aloud. They will not guide us. They will not rule us. But their shadow will remain. Every choice we make now, every step forward, we will walk under the memory of judgment. And in the quiet halls of the council, those words became truth. The fear of humanity was fulfilled, not in destruction, but in the weight of knowing they could return. Knowing that somewhere out in the dark, the Watchers still waited. For the first time in countless ages, the galaxy was free. But freedom was not safety. Freedom was not peace. And so, under stars newly silent, the galaxy began again, but always. In the back of every mind, in every council and every throne, in every whisper of rebellion or cruelty, one thought burned like fire. What if the humans come back?